Hi everyone, welcome to Stowe Navigator Inc. Canada. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing the opportunities to save thousands of dollars and reduce risk on the scheduling and execution of shutdowns, turnarounds, and outages, primarily in the offshore environment where we are restricted for the number of resources available to execute the work. Now, I know most of you are familiar with Primavera Scheduling, where you create activities and you assign resources and you use logic, as in relationship logic, for example, connecting a predecessor, start, or finish, in order to produce what we call a static Gantt chart, or what people call a schedule. But I'd like to remind you here that schedule is not a product. It is not a noun. Schedule is a verb that we use to produce a project plan. And the project plan is the noun. So we have an opportunity to schedule as a scheduler, aka scheduler, by using the feature of connecting predecessors and successors with logic or relationships, and then using our F9 feature and scheduling to produce our project plan. Now, in static scheduling for a typical project plan on an EPC project, this might be sufficient, where you use a critical path and a baseline, and you update on a weekly basis to try to control your project cost and duration and resources. In a turnaround environment, it's too dynamic to allow a scheduler or a person to build the project plan manually. So we don't want to use logic or relationships, or at least we want to minimize its use and not focus on critical path. Rather, we want to focus on longest path and critical jobs, and we want to focus on earned value, not on baseline compliance. So yes, we'll measure SPI, Schedule Performance Index. We'll measure CPI, Cost Performance Index. But our primary focus is on measuring earned value on a daily basis or shift by shift basis. So here you're going to see that we will establish our project in Primavera with activities that have very little constraints, mandatory start, mandatory finish, or relationships. And we'll focus more on allowing the computer to do the scheduling while the scheduler does programming. And by programming, we mean setting up the project with the right activity type, resource dependent, duration type, fixed duration and units, setting the phase calendars, and I'll get to that in one moment, setting the activity priority, estimating the duration and man hours, crew times duration, estimating the direct cost by applying an hourly rate to the direct cost, and establishing the window of opportunity for the computer to do the scheduling for you. Now that means selecting the resources and identifying the number of resources available to do the work and the productivity factor associated with that resource. Here you'll see that we have the resource inspector working on a 12 by 2 by 7 with a 1 productivity factor, means that these inspectors are available hour for hour, 24/7. Now we all know that that never happens in the real world. We know that no resource is available to work on the tools or directly on an activity for the full duration of a shift. We know that they need time to have lunch. We know they have permit time, safety time, JSA toolbox, meetings, paperwork, break times, wash up time, walking windshield travel time. So we're lucky if we can achieve 6 hours of direct tool time on any particular 10 or 12 hour shift. And I'm going to show you how that works when we go to do the scheduling. For now, let's look at how we have established these activities and identified the priority of the activities. We have a window of time. Now, there's two things we want to be very clear on here, and that's WBS, or work breakdown structure, and phase. Now, a lot of people try to use WBS to phase their project, aka pre-work, post-work, shutdown, inspection. But in reality, the WBS work breakdown structure really is the physical layout of the facility and all of its production physical assets. And what I mean by that is you have a work breakdown structure, which is a vertical representation, a hierarchy of equipment and systems and units and areas that have no time associated with them. They are simply a vertical hierarchy of the structure of the plant or the facility that you are representing in your plan. So the phase is a horizontal timeline that we can identify with milestones or limitations in a calendar that says here is the time frame in a horizontal timeline for pre-work or shutdown or opening phase or inspection phase or closing or post phase. Now, to do that, we're using the calendar feature. You'll see here that our calendar for activities is called IPL 24/7. Now that calendar, when you look at the calendar details, you can see that every day in 2016 has 0 working hours. And the window that we create is from February 8th, Monday, to the Sunday, February 14th, where we have identified that the 24-hour is a work time. This is available for these activities to be scheduled. This is part of the programming. Now the computer knows that all the activities you've created must be completed within this window. It won't schedule them on the 1st or the 4th or the 7th. It has no choice but to put them on the first day of the 8th, which is also our data date, and it must finish them by the 14th. This is our window. This is our phase, and in this case, it's called the inspection phase. We could create a calendar for pre-work phase or shutdown phase or for post phase. In this case, we're using the inspection phase, 24-hour availability. From here, we can go to the calendar for our resource and look at the availability of this resource. Now, in the 12/2/6 example, our resource will only be available in that time frame. So we go back to February, for example. They're not available on Sunday. It's only a 6-day calendar, 12-hour day, 2 shifts, 6 days, with a productivity factor of 2. That means that they're only available 50% of the time in the 24-hour calendar, which means 12 hours. If we look at a productivity, for example, of 1.4, 12 by 2 by 7, you can see, going back to our availability, that 16 hours out of the 24 are available to work because the productivity factor is 1.4. Now, you can make all different kinds of calendars to run different scenarios and what-if scenarios, letting the computer do the scheduling based on this productivity factor. So we're going to go back now to look at the situation where we have all of these activities as resource dependent. I have 5 inspectors, 5 workers, labor. I have them identified here as available, and all of the activities are sitting on the earliest start time. Here is my window of opportunity in the white. The window of opportunity from Monday to the Sunday. And I've identified the activity priority Now all I simply need to do, since I've programmed, is to let the computer schedule to generate the project plan. And we do that here under what they call level resources. And don't be fooled by level resources. What we're really talking about is assigning the resources and optimizing their availability to a plan in order to optimize the project plan and have it very dynamic, that we can change this plan every minute of the day, every hour of the day, anytime we choose in order to react to changing conditions. Our goal is to have the lowest burn or the lowest cost and the highest earn or the highest percent complete. So now I'm going to go through and schedule based on priority, and you'll see now that the computer built a project plan based on availability of resources in the window of time based on priority from top to bottom, top to lowest. Now, if I go in and change this because my field execution determined that this particular item is now a low item and this one is now one of the top priorities, I can simply go in and change that and let the computer produce a new plan. So when I look at what I'm going to work on in this first day, these are the activities that I'm going to focus on the first day of execution. Now, if I was to go in and change activities to a top priority and to reschedule, let the computer build the schedule, I would produce a new plan. And all of this can be reversed by simply hitting the F9 and resetting everything back to normal. So the important thing here to remember is dynamic scheduling allows its user to program rather than schedule, to be able to identify the activities required by priority, to establish the number of workers or resources, and to run what-if scenarios. So in this case, we can say, well, what if our productivity factor is double? What if we can only work 4 hours a day because of poor weather, for example? Now you'll see here that we're over allocated. The computer is trying to schedule these resources with a productivity factor of 2. And when we ask it to produce, it will come back and say that you cannot accomplish all of this work in this window with this many resources in that productivity. So we have no choice but to go back and increase the number of units, and we'll put in 8 inspectors now to show that we need to bring in additional inspectors in order to have all of this work done in that window. So we can run these what-if scenarios at any productivity factor with any priority. We can change priorities, we can add resources, we can run what-if scenarios. Let the computer do the scheduling and you do the programming. So that's all for now. I'd like to introduce you to our website if you want to download some additional lessons or to give us a call and talk about dynamic scheduling. Again, the opportunity to save thousands of dollars, reducing risk, and increasing wrench time, tool time, saving thousands of dollars on shutdowns and turnarounds using dynamic scheduling. Maximize how you utilize the program. Give us a call or look us up on www.stownavigator.ca or stowworks.com and give us a call or look us up and follow us on our YouTube channel for more videos. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.